Mike?
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Please join me as we go to the Lord today. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the many blessings that you've given us. Lord, we thank you for this day. Lord, we do ask for moisture. Our lands are parched. Whatever you can give us, whatever your will. Lord, as we have learned, we know that Israel is mourning today the hostages and the kids that are coming back in black boxes. Lord, take care of them. Take care of the families. Be with the families. Surround them with your love. Lord, we know your will be done. Lord, give us today, give us open hearts, open minds, open ears to do your will. And to God be the glory. Amen.
Amen. Cindy, do we have a quorum?
Chairman, yes, you do.
Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I would like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, approval of the minutes.
I would move to approve the approval of the minutes for the January 16th, 2024 meeting. 25, my bad, 25.
Second.
The second? Commissioner Corn, second that. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're going to do a proclamation before we do some presentations. And we have a special proclamation this morning for the veterans of foreign wars.
Would you like me to read it? Or
Sure.
would you?
Go ahead.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, this morning's proclamation is for the Veterans of Foreign Wars 125th Anniversary Celebration. Whereas the Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States, VFW, was founded in 1899 by a small group of veterans who returned from campaigns in Cuba and in the Philippines and banded together to create a veterans organization that would advocate on behalf of all veterans. And whereas the VFW is a nonprofit veteran service organization comprised of eligible veterans and military service members from the active guard and reserve forces, and whereas the VFW's mission is to foster camaraderie among United States veterans of overseas conflicts, to serve our veterans, the military, and our communities, and to advocate on behalf of all veterans. And whereas, since its inception, the VFW has been instrumental in the establishment of the Veterans Administration, the National Cemetery System, and the creation of every National Veterans Memorial. And whereas the VFW has played a vital role in virtually every significant piece of veterans legislation passed in the 20th and 21st centuries, to include the Honoring Our Pact Act, and most significant expansions of veterans' benefits in history. And whereas the Veterans of Foreign Wars began their observation of its 125th anniversary on September 29, 2024, this date shall officially be known as VFW Day. And now, therefore, the Chaves County Board of Commissioners hereby recognizes September 29, 2024 through September 29, 2025 as Veterans of Foreign Wars 125th anniversary in honor of the VFW's invaluable contributions to the veteran community in Chaves County and around the world. We hereby stand with the VFW to ensure veterans are respected for their service, always receive their earned entitlements, and are recognized for the sacrifices they and their loved ones have made on behalf of this great country. Be it further resolved that Thursday, February 20th, 2025, be proclaimed as Veterans of Foreign Wars 125th Anniversary Day in Chaves County, done this 20th day of February by the Board of Chaves County Commissioners. Come on.
work with y'all on May 3rd for National Day of Service.
I think we can do a presentation before we get to, okay, presentations. Do we have somebody from the chamber here?
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. Thank you so much for having me. At the Roswell Chamber of Commerce, we're going gangbusters right now. We're in the middle of planning our Rise with Roswell agricultural breakfast, which most of you have received your invitations this morning, and some of you have already registered, and I appreciate that. Our Rise with Roswell will be Thursday, March 27th at 6 a.m. out at the fairgrounds. And of course, as always, we will have bountiful breakfast, and we've got a fantastic speaker that the dairy producers of New Mexico have helped us find, a female speaker that's going to talk. She's got some comedy, and she knows kind of all the things that are going on, because we are celebrating agriculture since March is National Agriculture Month. So we hope that everybody comes out. We still have a few spots available for anybody that would like to be a sponsor of either the event or purchase a table. And of course, we still have individual tickets, but our seating is limited, and we just about sold out last year, and we're hoping to sell out for sure this year because we only had a few tickets left last year. We have been back and forth to Santa Fe helping to advocate do not pass on most of the bills that are going up there, and sat through a committee meeting last night. And according to the Chamber of Commerce, unfortunately, House Bill 11, the Paid Family Medical Leave Act, did pass through the committee and will now be heard on the House floor. So we will be getting out the calls to action for everybody to continue to make their calls and send their emails to all of the elected officials up there. So hopefully it will not pass, and we're watching a handful of other bills that are working their way through committee right now. And with that, I stand for any questions.
Thank you, Andrea.
All right, thank you.
Okay, well, I'm watching our time because we are going to have a presentation at 9:15 on video from our auditors. So I guess we could have one more presentation. We have 5 minutes yet. So Mike Espirito.
Mike, you're on the clock.
Oh, man.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Happy warm Thursday. Just a few quick updates, since I know you're managing my time for me. I appreciate that, Commissioner. An update on the National Championship Air races happening in September. As you know, in May, we are still expecting between 400 to 600 people for the Pylon Racing Seminar, which is a training event, non-spectator, but we're kind of working through that. And then we'll see the big event in September. Again, we'll have a team here next week with the top leadership. We're going to be headed to Santa Fe, and we're going to be at the Aviation Day at the Legislature of the Rotunda. We have a booth. They've sponsored it, and we'll do some stuff up there, and we'll attend an event. The Chairman CEO, Fred Tillon, who you have all met, is purchasing a home in Roswell. I want to make you aware of that. That's a good sign that he plans to be here for a very long time. Tuesday next week, the 25th, at 2 p.m. in the EDC, we will be having a volunteer sign-up. So please help us get the word out. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell people you know that if anyone has a desire to volunteer, not only for the NCAR event in September, but also PRS in May, we'll be doing that. And the leadership there will be kind of walking through all the different opportunities for people. We will also be having a couple more forums here in the near future, one on food and beverage for vendors and suppliers and what have you, restaurant owners, caterers, and also another one for vendors as far as booth spaces and things of that nature. So we'll be having those events, and we'll be talking through that and getting the word out as well. As you know, the EDC worked diligently with getting Beltwise structures out of the old bus plant, and it looks like the FAA did do the release. Everything's in good shape. Should be closing on that very soon. So that's a good thing. As you may be aware, last Friday I testified, advocated for Beltwise for the JTIP award application to the board, and they were successful in the award of 103 jobs, average wage of $22.59. They're awarded $1.2 million for training reimbursement for those jobs. A good piece for companies in Chaves County. As you know, we've had business seminars. In fact, we had several. We had one just last week, getting ready for NCAR, well attended. Nearly 50 people were there. We had an event, a seminar on finances for local business people. We have one on legal things, and that's March 13th. And if anyone would like to attend that, it's free, and it's March 13th. And just call me at the EDC, and we'll get them on the list. As you know. Am I still okay on time, Commissioner?
You're good.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you. As you know, you partnered with EDC to work towards a retail strategy opportunity, and I want to report back that they were here just 2 days ago, boots on the ground in the discovery phase. They've already started some of the market materials. They drove the area primarily looking for buildings and land opportunities, which they've identified quite a few. And they did attend the Red River Show in January and already have generated some interest in Roswell Chaves County for some opportunities. We should have a detailed report probably in the next month or so as they start to reach out to others as a result of that show, and we'll obviously share that with you. Last thing I want to share with you is, and as you all know, we had our Chaves County Legislative Reception in January, very well attended. Many of you were there. And I hope you had a good time. Got to meet some other folks and some of your constituents. We did have the governor there in attendance speaking, as well as Mayor Jennings and the RAW chairman, Fred Telling. And we had several state legislators in attendance as well. Obviously, a good event, good for people to understand who we are and meet some of us, and for you to meet some of those as well. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I stand for your questions. I'm talking real fast this morning to keep you on time.
You said you had was that going to be May when there's 400 to 600 people coming for the Reno Air races?
Correct. So the May 18th to the 23rd is the Pylon Racing Seminar, or PRS. It's not a spectator event, but every pilot will have to come here because it's a new race course. So they all have to be certified and accredited by the FAA to be able to race in September. So we're going to see.
So there will be planes in the air?
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they won't be racing, but they'll be flying the course. A lot of classroom space as well used. So it's training. They've partnered contractually or in agreement, with the university to use some classroom space and other things that they have. So that's folded together pretty nicely. And there's volunteers needed for that event. And those volunteers for that event will receive training for the September event, which is really important. So it's about 150 airplanes-ish. Each racer will bring between 5 and 25 people with them, with their maintenance crew and friends and family and, other folks. And so we're going to see a pretty good uptick. I don't know about room availability in May, but I know in September we don't have any rooms available in Chaves County. So, and they've been going for probably a couple of months now, and they went as high, I understand, as high as $400 to $500 a night. So, I guess that creates great GRT for the community. But that's May, Commissioner, and we'll probably get more word out to you. We're going to probably invite a lot of you to see that. But again, it's not a spectator event for the general public. It's really designed for them to get some training and some experience on a new course.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Okay, are we ready for the?
They should be on.
Okay. This would be the presentation on our Chaves County audit for the year ending June 30th of '24.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. As you know, I left a lovely chapter book in your boxes. Thanks for some good night reading late at night. That is our fiscal year 2024's audit report, and so I have JAG on the line. And I just wanted to quickly, before I hand it over to them, thank them for working with us for this fiscal year's audit. Mutia was a great employee to work with. That's from JAG, and Audrey and Scott. They really work well with us and collaborate with us and on everything that we do, from pulling the samples to working on the AFCR itself. They do marvelous work. They are here virtually, and they will be presenting the outcome from last year's audit. But before, I'd like to thank all the county department heads and all of their administrators for really doing their due diligence when it comes to their work. That work reflects in that book that you have there, but also want to give a shout out to my finance team, of course, and our internal auditor. They make it seem easy, but they really work hard, and they truly are our rock stars in that department. The treasurer's office for always being compliant, and Anna's definitely not off the hook with purchasing. And she's definitely putting on her federal hat right now for the upcoming year and everything we're working on. But also, I wanted to give a really big shout out to Emma, our HR director. It's not just hiring that she does. She really has to look at everything on the liability aspects, the compliancy, and definitely the laws, and that's something that she also has to abide by with the auditors, the PBCs, the agreements, all of that. She does a marvelous work on that as well. And as always, a thank you to my sanity that's sitting back there right now, especially through these disaster events right now. She's allowed me to focus helping in the response and the recovering phases, and so she's made sure the operations are still ongoing, and even towards the end of the audit, she helped me make sure that everything was in line as I was working alongside with Alex and Bill and Anna on all of the disaster events. Definitely Bill, support as our leader, and you commissioners for your trust and your leadership as well. And so with that, I'll go ahead and shift it over to Audrey and Scott, and then they can go ahead. They're going to share their screen, but you also have the books if you'd like to follow along.
Thank you, Annabelle. Just wanted to make sure you all can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Manager. It's great to be here. Pleasure to report out to you on the June 30, 2024 audit. The county has had yet another excellent year, and will be submitting again to earn the GFOA award, or has submitted, I should say, for the GFOA award. The county has been a pleasure to work with, as always, one of our most favorite clients, I have to say. And Scott is here to share the financial statements on the screen, if that works technically. And we will go through the financial statements and be happy to answer any questions you may have at the end. So Scott, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. Thanks, Audrey. So, of course, we're here today to go over the results of the audit. And the state audit requires that after the audit report is released, auditor go over the results of the audit with government. So first, here today to talk about that. There's just some required communication with auditors or the talk about things like sort of like the overview of the audit, how the audit was results of the audit. And we did start on the audit this summer. The audit process itself only covers about 6 months time frame. But of course, we're not doing the audit the entire time. Pick it up and go back down. That start with the updating or understanding fuel structure, and I think we can rely on the fuel structure, which I'm happy to say that we have been relying on the fuel structure because we have been auditors, because the county does have good processes in place, documentation, certification, overall service, various controls of these auditors, techniques, also, which relates to the financial statement, also with the state audit rule, there is a required test that the auditor to do to ensure that the entity, in this case the county, is following all the compliance requirements noted in the state audit rule. So we look at all kinds of areas, procurement, look at the para, RHCA contributions, we look at mileage for DM gas cards that we have. We look at a whole number of different areas under the state audit rule, probably 10 or 12 different compliance areas. So this results in some back and forth. That, we pull samples, the county is very timely uploading the information that we need to look at to our testing from the internal controls and compliance perspective. Then we come back after the books are closed out and financial statement audit. And so the financial statement audit ultimately results in the financial report. And as Audrey mentioned, the ACTR that you guys do, which is above and beyond what's required under the state audit rule. So the financial statements themselves probably contain an extra, I would say, extra 75 pages of information that statistical information, additional budgetary information for every single fund, a transmittal letter, and management discussion and analysis. So this creates this really nice report that presents the financial statements and balance sheet income statement of all the funds. But in addition, there is a lot of statistical information back that covers 10 years. So it's really, I think, helpful for users to go back and look at what's happened in the county, because nobody can remember back before yesterday, or at least I can't. But if you go back, you can go back 10 years, look at all sorts of statistical information, look at gross receipts, tax, look at employment, look at how's the county done financially and how things increased over the years. So I think that's really, it's really kudos to the county for going through additional processes and steps to ultimately create what's called an annual comprehensive financial report. And other things that we're required to communicate, that the process that we went through, collaborative effort, management that we worked with was very responsive. We had no difficulties in working with those processes. And I think maybe the next place I'll go is just to go ahead, if I can share my screen here. Is that possible?
Yes, Scott.
We can see it.
Okay, excellent. So this is the report here, and you can see up here it's 177 pages long. In the interest of time, I'm not going to go through all 177 pages, obviously. Just a couple of things I wanted to point out. Once we get past the index and some other things, there's of course a transmittal letter, and everybody that is involved in the process here should look at, review these transmittal letters. This is sort of a nice overview of the year. The county manager and Doug will prepare this. And of course, the sides here. But this is the certificate that the county gives for the excellent financial report. And then I think when we go back and look at, the overall process of putting this all together, ultimately it results in audit opinion and an additional report under governmental auditing standards. And the independent auditor's report talks about the opinion, which is an unmodified opinion of course, it's the best opinion that you can get. And I think that there's probably two takeaways I want to talk about. First of all, responsibilities of management, preparing these financial statements and putting them together, the internal control structure. So ultimately, the county is responsible for the internal control structure and for having an appropriate compliance structure. And then, of course, the auditor has responsibilities too. And at the end of the day, it's to obtain reasonable assurance based on all of our testing as to the financial statements themselves and the opinion on the financial statements, which is unmodified or criminal opinion. And then, of course, the next area is management's discussion and analysis. This provides a great way of, the overall operation from a financial perspective and the financial highlights. I'm not going to go through that in detail. And then comes the what we call the full accrual financial statements that include capital assets, debt, pension, and RHCA, which is the other benefits liability. And I think my takeaway is just a couple of things. First of all, the county has been very prudent fiscally, and it goes really back to about, I think, probably a good 20 plus years when the county decided that there was some extra cash. They put that in a permanent fund, so there's $50 million in a permanent fund, and of course the interest that comes off of that can be used as the county has restricted to use. And then, so I think that's one point I wanted to make. And the other point is there is a little bit of debt, but it's almost nothing at this point. So the county, of course, paid off some bonds a couple of years ago, and there's still loans left through the finance authority for equipment financing. And so when we look at the overall strength of the organization, I would say that the county great business over the years continues to do such. Then here's sort of the overall income statement on a full accrual basis. Dive into those numbers. I would say that, take a look at your reports as you dive into the numbers and have any questions. Annabelle can certainly answer that, given her involvement in the overall process. And then, of course, we have the different major funds up front. And then the minor funds, the smaller funds are in the back behind the footnotes. And here's the fund I was talking about. The county has a permanent fund. You can see on the right-hand side, $50 million of restricted investments. And there isn't really too many entities within the state besides the state overall have permanent funds. So I would congratulate you guys for that effort that was made many years ago to put that in place. And then I think, in the interest of time, I'm going to jump a number of pages here to report that we have under generally accepted government auditing standards. And there are a lot of information here too. There is some required schedules under the state audit rule, such as cash and investments detail and pledge collateral detail. We'll pass it on. Here we go. Here's our second report in the financial statements, and it's on internal control for financial reporting is the first part. The second part is on compliance and other matters. And so here we had any audit findings. Everybody's always interested if we have any audit findings. If there were any audit findings, it could be summarized here. And I'm happy to report, I know this is what everybody's been waiting for, but I have to report that there were no audit findings. And, you know, if we look at, again, here's a quick summary. If you just wanted to know a quick summary of the results of the audit, you go to this page that is the schedule of findings and responses. And overall, again, an unmodified or clean opinion, there were no weaknesses or deficiencies or material non-compliance noted. In fact, there was no non-compliance noted in the testing. So I would say that overall, this was an excellent audit, excellent processes in place. Let's take a team effort, and I would say that without a team effort, by not only the accounting function, treasurer's function, but the county overall, because operationally, that ultimately feeds into the numbers. So if there's not compliance, say, in the grant area or other areas, you know, that look at those as part of the audit process. So that really sort of summarizes what we are required to talk about. Good processes, good controls in place. I think one thing that has helped the county compared to the other governments in the state, the county has, of course there is some turnover, right? But the county has done a good job of ensuring that turnover is to the minimum. So once you have turnover, that always introduces an additional element that makes things more difficult all the way around. So Audrey, did you have anything additional that you wanted to add?
Just wanted to say it's an excellent report, and you have a great team.
We'll open it up for any questions that anybody might have.
Any questions for the auditors?
Commissioners have any question?
I just have a comment. Stan, I know they mentioned our permanent fund. Stan, would you go over our permanent fund? I know that Bill and I have been at several meetings lately with city and county. And would you please go over the process of how those funds, and if we were to get them out, what would be the process in
Sure.
order for us to, I mean.
Commissioner, the permanent fund was established in 1998 at the sale of the hospital. And it's $50 million that's dedicated to the permanent fund, and it earns interest through the years, and then that interest goes into a operational fund. And if you wanted to get to it, you would have to, by law, this is set out in state statute and also our policy, but you would have to come in with a specific proposal. Say we want $10 million for a library, example. It would have to then be approved by the commission at a public hearing, and then it would have to go to a vote of the public, and they would have to approve it to use that 10 million. And you couldn't say, okay, we want to do 10 million, now let's go ahead and add another 100,000. It has to be a sum certain and for a project certain. So you couldn't have it for operations, you couldn't have it for down the road, a rainy day fund or something like that. It has to be a specific purpose and a specific amount of money, and it has to go through the hoops of you guys, and then a vote of the citizens would have to approve it.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that, because like I said, we've attended meetings, Bill and I, and there's been
Yeah, it's not easy to get to.
some comments.
It is
So I
hard to
appreciate
get
it.
to it, and it takes a lot of thought to
Yes.
get to it, and
Yes.
obviously you guys would have to vote to move forward with it.
Right. Thank you, Stan. I appreciate that.
Anyone, any other commissioner have any questions? Well,
Well, real quick, just thank you again, Audrey and Scott. Thank you for the presentation, and agenda item number 8 will be a formal acceptance of the audit report, so that I will present before you at that time. Okay? All right. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Thanks, Annabelle.
Thank you. Okay, we'll continue with our other presentations. Cooperative Extension.
Good morning. So Extension Office has been pretty busy. We were down in Hagerman yesterday. Our 4-H leadership team went to the Roundhouse this last month, and they truly enjoyed getting to learn more about the legislature. They got to meet with Senator Boone and Representative Murphy while they were up there, and just truly enjoyed learning about the process and sharing more about 4-H in general. We do have open enrollment for one more month, so anyone looking to join in on the 4-H program this year, they do still have a month to do that. On the FCS side, we will be hosting a winter and herb gardening training here in a couple of weeks, so March the 6th at 5:30. Drew's going to put that on. It is open to the community, but we do ask that they call in and kind of reserve a seat so we can plan ahead. On the ag side with Drew, he will be hosting the Youth Ranch Management Camp again this year. Registration is open, and that's to high school youth that are interested in learning more about managing the ranch and the business side of what that takes. We are hoping as an office to host the Southeast Ranchers Workshop again in April. So we were working on setting up dates and stuff like that. That'll be here in Chaves County. And we are going to be having our annual advisory board meeting this coming Monday at 6. So we'll go over with our advisory board, kind of the needs of the county and what we can see program-wise happening in the next year or so. With that, I am happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, department updates. Any of the department? Okay. Jennifer Pierce with the Chaves Soil and Water.
Good morning. How are you guys? Good. I'm just here to report. We've been working on a lot of stuff. I've seen a few of you around. We did go to Ag Fest this year, which was phenomenal. It's my first time, so I thought it was great. I'm here to talk to you guys about a few things this morning. Thank you, Bill, for sending us the template for the resolution. We've written a letter of opposition for the NIETC, the line. Since they've extended that deadline, we're now going to also write an oppositional resolution. So we are working on that. This year we've had a little over $680,000 worth of grants. That is boots on the ground, work in the ground. We don't take admin money, so we are working on some cover crop initiatives, land restoration, things like that. We are applying for some more grants. Those deadlines are March, April, May. So if the public has any cover crop issues, land restoration ideas that they would like to bring to the district, we would love to hear those and see if we can consider roping that into some of our grants. Two of our grants that we received are now frozen. They were federally funded. So we're hoping to get that resolved and get that money on the ground as soon as possible. We are going to be applying for some money to help with the Hagerman Canal restoration. We are working with their board. Their meeting was this morning, but it's going to cost a little over $3 million. I'm sure you guys know that. In order to get everything fixed, farmers in those areas need that water, otherwise they're losing their crops. So we are looking for some funding for those things. I will probably be reaching out to you guys for letters of support for those grants, hoping that we can get that. But tentatively, we're looking at about $200,000 that we're going to try to pour into that, in addition to some money that maybe we have saved that we can kind of throw in on top of that. So I am open for any questions if you guys have any at this time.
As far as that Hagerman Canal, what are we're going to have to fix that pretty quick, right?
Yeah, so I talked with Tim Duran yesterday. They're completing one portion of that project, and I've finally gotten my hands on a map. They've got about 6 priority areas that they're working on, starting from upstream, working their way down. They finished one of them yesterday, so they're just kind of picking at them as they can. I think they've gotten a little bit of funding to help with some of this stuff. They are working with FEMA to try to
How
get
many,
some assistance.
were there several breaks?
Yes, yeah, pretty much that whole thing is wiped out. I'm sure Cliff probably could weigh in on that a little bit, but yeah, pretty much that whole thing is wiped out and is in need of restoration.
In relation to that one you and I saw in Miami, is that one bad compared to the others?
There's probably at least 3 that are that bad, and others are probably lesser concerns, but all of them, of course, come together to make the canal, so they've got to all be repaired. They are looking at, it's my understanding, trying to make sure they have water on the south end first, and they'll work their way back to the north, because they have, you know, additional pumps up here, but they can fulfill the needs on the south end.
In particular, I was told the bridge on Lincoln and Navajo is something that they're that they're working on, and then the siphon going under the Felice needs to be replaced. So those are some kind of big priority issues that they're facing, and I'm trying to work with Hagerman Dexter Soil and Water. They're also applying for $250,000 to put into restoration of this, if we can all get funded.
Commissioner Perry, Mr. Chairman, Alex can give us an update on that either now or in a minute, whichever way you'd
Sure
like.
thing. So as far as the Lincoln and Navajo crossing, we're looking at some options for temporary. We're worried a little bit about the structural integrity of the road crossing there. And so we're looking at some options and working with Tim and the canal folks to see what can get us by for the season as far as that crossing alone. The other thing is the time constraint, you know, getting a contractor out there, even if we had the ability to just do it tomorrow is also a challenge. So we're looking at options as we speak.
I'm not sure what the process is for that, whether you do RFPs or if you're already contracted with people to do that. But I'd like to offer any assistance in getting an RFP put together or taking bids or whatever your process is.
Sure
I know
thing.
for our CPO process.
That's the options we're looking at. Right now, we're pretty much forced to go under RFP or to bid it out. We really can't, we don't have anybody online to go direct with them. So as far as we're understanding, and Anna's helping us look at what options we have as far as the procurement side of it.
Okay. We've got several sources for RFP templates, so if we can be of help in any way with that, we would be glad to. My
Appreciate it.
only other thing, I'm sorry.
Oh, I said appreciate it.
Okay. My only other thing was, I'm sure you all know, a lot of federal employees are being laid off, including half of our staff at our local NRCS office. So there's going to be a lot of producers who are going to be losing their contracts, and it is at no fault to our local NRCS. They have no control over that. So I just ask that everybody kind of speak kindly, spread some kindness to those people, because they're sure going to need it. So, any questions from anybody? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Departmental updates.
Oh, did you want to do Dan first?
Okay. We'll come back to those. Next presentation will be from Dan Jennings on the opioid response plan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. I appreciate your time today. I'll make it brief, too. But you would indulge me, though, I would like to engage Commissioner Dara Dana and also Roswell City Councilor Christina Arnold, who is here, to give a brief background on the opioid funds that Roswell and Chaves County share before I go into the presentation, just to kind of keep everybody up to speed.
Thank you. Yes, we learned several years ago of the opioid funds that were coming down. This was a settlement that was taken to court many years ago. You can kind of liken it to the tobacco funds when the federal government decided to sue the tobacco companies, and those funds came down many years ago. This is kind of the same way. The opioid funds, they wanted the perimeters, federal and state perimeters, to come in and kind of help with behavioral health prevention, things like that. So Councilor Arnold and I were asked by Judge James Hudson to attend a summit, behavioral health summit in Albuquerque a couple of years ago. This was put on by the AOC. We heard about a lot of the behavioral health that is coming down the pike and what the AOC's plan is and what they're trying to do with the behavioral health. So we kind of took the ball and ran and kind of looked at what we could do here in Chaves County. And then when the opioid funding kind of came down the pike and City of Roswell decided that Chaves County was going to be the fiscal agent for their opioid funds, to pool the opioid funds, we looked into how best we can do prevention, but also services. That is one thing that the opioid funding parameters is services. They really want to concentrate on services and outcomes for this population. So Councilor Arnold and I have been working on that, and now we have come to a crisis response team here in City of Roswell and Chaves County. Take it away, Councilor Arnold.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. It has actually been a very interesting 2.5-year journey. We've learned a whole lot, experienced, many different conversations with state legislators, people involved in this area. And one thing that we've kind of learned is that we do have resources here in Roswell, but they're all spread out. And the work on the jail diversion it's basically probably a 5-part program. The community response team that passed public safety on Tuesday actually is just one of those parts. Opioid funding would actually truly benefit our community. It's not going to fund all of these processes, but it will assist in many areas. I believe we have about $5 million in that fund. Is that correct?
I got the funds today from Annabelle. The city has 1.875 million and the county 1.422 million so far. So yeah, you're looking about 5 million or so. 3.2.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm not
Yes.
math whiz.
And as we understand, that fund, that's probably more than likely going to continue to build because the lawsuits regarding opioids are continuing. And so while it is not part of anyone's general fund, it is money that has been sitting available for 2 years. And I think what we would really like to ask is that we all work together to create a program that not only will assist the AOC, because the AOC made a commitment to implement jail diversion into our communities. What Commissioner Dana and I found is that a judge can implement jail diversion, but if he doesn't have anything to divert to, then you don't actually have a successful program. So the Hobbs community, Alamogordo, Clovis, other communities are working on building the foundation for diversion. The AOC's commitment was a 5-year plan. I have, of course, naturally attached 3 years to that. We're looking at probably 8 years before all of that gets ironed out. But in order for that program and for our courts to be successful in reducing our recidivism, we have to actually have a foundation for the judges to divert to. The community response team, boots on the ground, our police officers are our first responders. They're the first ones to see homelessness, domestic violence, any of these issues. They're the first one there. And so that's why we started with the community response team to actually help send out professionals in that community. The opioid funding in the plan that Mr. Jennings has put together is a very diverse plan that can help us address those. So I really wanted to actually just ask you to please, if you have questions, if you want to understand more, please reach out to us. It is a very broad area. It's taken us 2.5 years to actually even truly grasp the depth of it. And so we don't expect you guys to understand, but we are open to have conversations, have coffee, and we also want to actually ask that we really take getting these services that this money is meant to pay for out to the community, because it belongs to the community. It belongs to people to help them. And right now, we as leaders have allowed it to just sit there. So that's what I wanted to come and ask. Please help us help others. Thank you.
And I will add that the state legislature is taking this serious. Finally, hopefully, we have several bills that are started in the Senate Bill 1, 2, and 3 that are kind of limping along, I understand, but also a competency. Competency is another thing that when I made the trip to Miami-Dade is the first hurdle. When we have someone who is found not competent, they are put on the street. That's all they do. Go do this program, but there is no repercussions if they don't do it. And so Miami has taken this with their jail diversion and said, in order for you to be deemed incompetent to stand trial or whatever, we're going to divert you over to this program. This is what you have to do. Step A through Z. If you do not make those steps, then you will go to jail. Miami has closed down one of their jails because of the jail diversion and what they have been able to do with this. And so we decided there's plenty of models out there. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. So this is kind of when we got with Annabelle and Dan Jennings with 100% Chaves County to kind of give us a model and a plan. And so thank you, Dan, for what you did. For us.
Mr. Jennings, before you get started, in the interest of time, because they have a jail visit and everything to take, can you keep your
rather short?
Yeah,
short.
5 minutes or so.
Absolutely. So
appreciate
the
you.
first part of your document that you have in front of you is background that can help you understand a little bit more about social determinants of health and adverse childhood experiences that relate to drug use and mental health concerns. Attention to pages 12 and 13, Chaves County Health Indicators. This is information from your epidemiologist at the Department of Health, letting you know where we stand when it comes to drug overdoses and use. We're fourth in the state in this county in amphetamine overdose-related emergency room visits, sixth in the state for youth misuse of prescription pain medications. And on page 13, you can see the number of overdoses up to including 24 in the last year of overdoses, fatal drug overdoses from fentanyl. Continuing on to page 20 and 21, the opioid solutions exhibit B settlement plan is divided into multiple potential uses of those funds. What we try to do is break it down into a series of 6 pillars that can help address some of these things, including public safety, connections, prevention, mothers and newborns, and harm reductions and treatment. So on those next few pages, you can see the settlement agreement and where they're divided into those pillars. Next that I'd like to draw attention to is on page 36 to 37, North Star goals, meaning reducing our number of overdoses from the year 2022 from the latest epidemiology that we have from the state, from non-fatal drug overdoses from 106, eventually down to 0. In 2040, it would make sense to get us down to no overdoses at that point in time. So we worked with the public and through the subcommittee to identify about 100 so different research-based strategies that the funds could be utilized for. But in order to break that down, so instead of recommending 100, we're recommending about 13 that bubbled up from the public input, from surveys, and from focus groups and the work. We've identified them into 3 areas: interventions, linkages, and therapies. On the next page, 38 and 39, you will find 5 interventions, 5 linkages, and then there are therapies. And these interventions include everything that Commissioner Dana and Councilor Arnold had mentioned, but including things like prevention in schools, naloxone training, making sure that free resource leave-behind cards are available for people that have been in overdoses, linking people to services via hotlines, crisis intervention programs, warm handoff after being in the hospital or in incarceration settings, transportation to and from treatment. And then on the next page, 40, we recommend implementing and advocating for strategies, including the the Roswell Rehab being a point for a crisis center, triage, and of course, potential jail diversion with treatment there. So part of that also includes a recommendation for an opioid solutions coordinator and board, which you'll find on the next couple of pages, including a job description. On page 45 and beyond, you will find those 100 strategies that we recommended. The colors that you see on those strategies, the darker the color, the higher that it's scored in your public survey and focus groups. So those are the ones that turned into the recommendations. But if you're interested in perusing all 100, you can see that there. And that leads into the last part of your document, which begins on page 61, which is a model that we've created for a process for requests for proposals. In case you're interested in distributing funds from the opioid solutions plan, then you have a model to follow. There is information in this, including fund financial projections that I included on page 59. And if it is invested wisely, you should be able to distribute funds from this and keep it going beyond the 15 years that funds would be coming in through the distributions from the settlement, but even including an additional at least 13 years past that. So that's the reason why I make a recommendation until 2040. If wisely invested and continue to distribute through there, you should be able to utilize these funds for many years in the future. And for that, I'll stand for questions. I hope that was fast enough.
That was very quick.
Thank you.
Very impressive.
Thank you.
I have a question. With relations, and I guess this is going to Ms. Dara too, the other counties have this funding as well?
Yes, they do.
Yes.
Roosevelt and Curry County have gone in with 5 counties, and with the city of Clovis being their fiscal agent, and then they received $10 million from the governor last year, I believe it was, in order to build, what they're trying to do is build a behavioral health hospital, triage center, whatever you want to call it. City of Hobbs is also using their opioid funds, plus they're going to the legislature this session to get more funds for them. Some of the smaller counties are going to pool their funding too and try and put in a behavioral health or a crisis triage center.
So like, it sounds like Hobbs is down the road on building actually a facility?
Yes. Yes, they were trying to acquire the old Nor Lee Hospital, and it was bought out from under them, so they're having to go back to square one and actually build a building.
And then your question that, yes, throughout the state of New Mexico, throughout every county just in the country, they're getting a distribution from that. State of New Mexico has divided their funds into money that goes into the backstop fund, which was what the Attorney General used to prosecute the case. The remaining funds then will be distributed. I believe that the last I saw was that $388 million was total that comes into the state of New Mexico through the settlements, and 55% after the backstop fund goes to the counties and the cities, 45% retained by the state of New Mexico. Those will be put into 2 expandable trusts that the state will manage to help implement strategies, for example, as Commissioner Dana mentioned, at the state level. The 2.5% that the city of Roswell and the county receive as part of this distribution amounts to estimations of about $8 million over the total of the 15-year settlement fund. The Sackler Fund has just been settled by the courts, so it's still potential for more fund coming as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Dan.
Now, departmental updates. Annabelle?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I just really quick wanted to kind of pair up with Alex to give you an update on our flooding recovery. Right now, as you know, we already passed the response phase, which was the emergency part of it, when the disaster happened on the flooding in October 19th and the 20th. Now we're currently in the recovery phase, and we're already starting to work on permanent work. And then the next step will be mitigation. So that's something that we're going to pair up with the state and federal agencies to see what our mitigation projects will be for the future to prevent this from happening again. Just really quick, wanted to update on the damage inventory. We have already submitted that over to FEMA. We have about $91 million of damaged inventories. This ranges from all our emergency projects plus roads, bridges, flood facility items, and some of those, like the vehicles and the facilities, are being claimed through insurance. But if there is any type of difference, then we could work with FEMA to see if we can get the difference from them. But they will certainly try to cover that deductible, at least from whatever insurance charges us.
We have already submitted 2 emergency projects to try to obligate money already, so we can start getting some of those reimbursements back. And we also have 1 project that was already submitted. That is for the Lincoln, part of the Lincoln Road. That's an emergency project that we were working with FEMA on as well. Real quick before I pass it over to Alex to give you an update, individual assistance, FEMA's still working with all of our citizens. I passed out this flyer that they just put out recently for the agriculture recovery programs. I know also Tamara and Drew are also joining in on the meetings with us. We're really grateful for them to have their input as well, but this is for you to have in case you have any calls from your constituents, from your districts. There's these available assistance for all of our ranchers or any agricultural properties out there that need help. So this is certainly something we appreciate the state and FEMA for coming in together and working on this together. We've just been busy every week. We are always on the debris removal task force. We were certainly on the agriculture recovery, housing task force for those that are needing housing needs. On the city side, of course, they're working on the museum and trying to recover from that as well. But one comment I just wanted to say real quick is we received a comment from one of the state managers, and she says that really the resilience is shown in our community, and we couldn't help but agree with that. She said, you know, I came down and yes, you guys are a dry environment out here, she says, but just the way the community came together is just amazing. So I just kind of wanted to echo those words over to you. And then Alex, do you have anything?
Sure. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Commissioners. I'll try to keep it brief, but backing up to the debris removal, there is one more pass that the state's vendor was already started on the 11th, and it'll carry on through February 28th. So what we've done is there's been up to about 3,500 letters sent out to the constituents, letting them know, you know, they can put their debris, their flood debris in the right-of-ways again, and the grappler trucks will go picking them up. They're also incorporating AmeriCorps, some volunteers to help with folks with elderly or folks with medical conditions to help remove debris from the private property. So that was a mechanism, a way of doing that. Yeah, again, those dates are the 11th through the 28th. That'll be the very last pass that the state's vendor is doing. There is right of entry permits that they've been talking to folks as we speak. I know they started on the Spring River, they started on the north end, the Berendo area, and so we've already been talking with some of those folks, and Bill and I have signed off on a few right of entry permits to allow the state vendors to get on private property along the waterways. The waterways are their focus right now. So there's about 4 or 5 waterways throughout Chaves County that the debris vendor will be picking up. So that's that for debris removal. And then just to reiterate what Annabelle said about the $91 million, I'm sorry, of damage inventory. That's on the FEMA's official list right now. They consist of like 13 damaged areas, and we've compiled those into 6 FEMA projects. And then as far as buildings, there's up to 5 Chaves County-owned facilities that had minor damage, minor to a little bit more than minor, but nothing real significant, so we're blessed. Vehicles, we've got 6 vehicles on the list, 4 of them being pickup trucks, and 1 of them being a loader and then a D6 dozer, so 6 overall. As far as the water control infrastructure, that is where the majority of the dollars sit. There's about 15 projects on the list, and you know, as you can imagine, out west of town, there's a lot of infrastructure to repair. So Brian and the flood control is working on that. And then our most critical project to finish up is Lincoln Avenue north of Dexter. We've been diligently working with engineers and getting plans and getting this FEMA process kind of squared away. So we hope to go to advertise. We are looking for other options and not having to advertise, but through the FEMA process, we likely will have to. So we anticipate or hope that we can get into construction at the end of April, beginning of May. And that's kind of the wrap-up we have for now.
Thank you.
Any questions?
On the stuff out west, has Brian encountered any problems through the state officials, you know, going ahead and removing a lot of this stuff, or?
Yeah, well, his process, it's a little bit complex, but a positive note is that he does have NRCS he's working with, so he may have an additional resource there. And he couldn't attend today because he's out with the Dam Safety Bureau on site as we speak. So it is a challenge. It is a challenge, and reimbursement is going to be a challenge to go through the process. But we are, Brian, ourselves, Annabelle and I, and the FEMA team, the state DHSEM team, have been looking at our options for, you know, which can go through NRCS and which will stay on their damage inventory list to start trying to get some of that infrastructure repaired.
Okay. Well, I know Jenny was saying something that there was some layoffs and that sort of stuff through the NRCS, so I didn't know if.
Yes, that definitely could impact the
that's gonna
process,
mess us up.
but we're just happy to have NRCS to work with at all, you know, and as an option.
Okay, good.
Do we have any other department heads that would like to give us an update at this time? If not, we'll move on to our agenda items. And the first is a public hearing.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Agenda item number 1 is a public hearing to amend ordinance number 58 regarding minor clarifications to language in the Indigent Health Care Ordinance number 58. The changes are needed to ensure the Chaves County Commission is the IHC board. The changes were recommended by our county attorney, and they were properly advertised in the Roswell Daily Record. I did pass out Exhibit A. Everybody should have a copy. Most of the changes were changing IHC board to Chaves County Commission. There's a few other minor changes in the language. I can go over those individually if you'd like, or if you want to just, if you've had time to look at those, you can approve them as is, or I can go through them individually, whatever you choose.
Mr. Chairman, the stuff that was advertised for the public to view was the major changes in the ordinance, and we want to be sure that we recognize that that was properly advertised. These minor changes are provided to you this morning. There are 6 of them, I believe, are minor formatting changes, adding the word Chaves where it says County Commission. Very insignificant things like that are the 6 that are on the list. So I just wanted to clarify that on record.
As a public hearing, is there anyone that would like to speak for this? Anybody wanting to speak for this issue? Is there anyone that wants to speak against this issue? Anyone wants to speak against this issue? Do we have anything online? Okay. Okay, so we'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the changes to the IHC ordinance number 58 with the changes presented by Mr. Ortega.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And Mr. Chairman, just real quick, this won't take effect for 30 days. Is that correct, Stan? Because it's an ordinance, so there's a 30-day period. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, County Commissioners. As to agenda item number 2, R-25-002, the approval of the DWI grant and distribution application for fiscal year '26. For fiscal year '26, the DFA notified counties of a reduction in distribution funding. The impact on Chavez County amounts to $40,694. The DWI board reviewed the programs and reconsidered an original proposal. As a result, the recommendation presented here reflects the board's new proposal that impacts all contractors for allocating the fiscal year 2026 distribution, totaling $391,220. And they are as follows. For the community wellness and outreach component, it'll be $187,772.60. For the treatment component, it'll be $18,073.40. For the alternative sentencing, it would be $110,610.60. And for the program administration, it'll be $74,763.40. Additionally, the Chavez County DWI program is requesting $85,000 under the competitive grant to be allocated as follows. For the treatment component, it'll be $80,000, and for the alternative sentencing, it'll be $5,000. The application will fund the project year from July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026. The Chavez County DWI program requests approval to proceed with submitting the fiscal year '26 local DWI grant and distribution application. Staff recommends approval, and I stand for questions.
On this issue, I will abstain from voting or commenting on this particular issue since it involves DWI.
Ellie, on this, you said the board reconsidered. Was there 2 votes on this?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Dana, that is correct. We first looked at it, and the board reviewed the first recommendation, and they went with another one that it was more feasible for the program at that time.
What was cut because of this?
It was the contractors and our programs.
Okay, so it was all over, across the board?
No, it wasn't across the board. It was just our contractors and some of our prevention programs that we have.
So services were cut?
Correct.
And prevention wasn't cut? I mean, just services?
No, it was the contract for prevention, and our programs that we have under prevention were cut. The 2, excuse me, sorry about that. It was 24.69%.
Across the board? I mean, across everything?
On the contracts and on the programs, yes, ma'am.
Okay. What, during the conference, has the affiliate, I mean, are we hearing anything else out of Santa Fe? I know they're imposing another liquor tax.
Yes, we were expecting to have an economist from Taxation and Revenue come to our affiliate meeting to kind of give us some kind of explanation as to why, we have less money the last 3 fiscal years. Mm-hmm. We were not able to, but the DWI director, they were giving some numbers to her, and I guess the only explanation that they gave us that there has been a reduction in alcohol consumption, not sales but consumption, due to maybe the marijuana sales. But other than that, we don't know for sure why we are getting less money every fiscal year.
Was there any talk about the cannabis side of it at all?
No, not in our affiliate meeting. We our program focuses on alcohol prevention, so.
Right. I was just kind of curious if they were going to put in cannabis prevention just like they do DWI. So I guess they're worried about taxes first.
Yes,
so.
maybe in the future, we're hoping.
Hopefully, huh? Thank you, Ellie.
Not a problem, thank you.
Do we have a motion?
Chairman, I would like to make a motion on agreements and resolution number 2, resolution R-25-002, approval of the DWI grant and distribution application FY26.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Perry and second by Commissioner Wade. And any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I abstain.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, agenda item number 3, excuse me, is for resolution R-25-004, Chaves County Flood Debris Disaster Declaration. Chaves County declared an emergency on January 28, 2025 due to the imminent and proximate threat to public health from remaining flood debris resulting from severe weather that occurred October 19th and 20th, 2024. At this time, we're requesting the ratification of this flood debris disaster declaration. This direct declaration of emergency was required to initialize the state of New Mexico to provide a contractor to clean up flood debris that was deposited in the county as a result of the flood. Staff recommends the ratification of R-25-004. Thank you.
Do we have a motion?
I move that we approve resolution R-24004.
R-25.
25, excuse me. R-25004. Chaves County Road Flood Debris Disaster Declaration.
I second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Corn and second by Commissioner Perry. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Agenda item number 4, I'm going to make it, I promise, is R-25-005, resolution opposing the creation of transmission corridors. This resolution opposes the proposed national interest electric transmission corridors, particularly the Southwestern Grid Connector Corridor. This proposed corridor, 5 to 15 miles in width, would require an acquisition of approximately 1,841,000 acres in 8 New Mexico counties, including Chaves County. The economic impact as a result of taking these lands would be devastating in Chaves County and the state of New Mexico. There was no appropriate communication or notice with local governments, utility companies, the New Mexico State Land Office, landowners, citizens, county or state elected officials, or any other stakeholders. Most entities learned of the Department of Energy's plans after the December 16, 2024 posting in the Federal Register. Staff recommends approval of the resolution to oppose the transmission corridor designation. And I stand for questions, and some of our commissioners have also been to some of the town hall meetings, and maybe they can speak about it better than I can speak about it. Thank you.
Commissioners?
We attended, a variety of commissioners attended 4 different presentations.
Yeah, it was more. I believe we had 5.
We had Curry, Roosevelt, Lee, and
Artesia.
and Eddy County for Artesia, and then Ruidoso for Otero and Lincoln counties. And there was quite a group of people. I think there was over 1,000 people attended with those meetings. And everyone was generally in opposition of the designation of the national corridor. You know, everyone was in favor of negotiating leases with utility companies for right-of-ways or easements. No one had a problem with that, but just taking a 5-mile swath of land and condemning it was a problem. So, and you want me to read this?
If you would like to read it, that'd be up to the
No,
chairman.
you can read it.
Go ahead. Why don't you read it, Cliff?
Okay, I'll say Bill, and us haven't listened, yeah. R25-005, resolution opposing the national interest electric transmission corridors. Whereas the Biden administration set a national goal that America would transition to 100% renewable electrical sources by 2035, which would require major upgrades to our electrical transition system capacity. And whereas this goal is based on an administrative decision to sign the Paris Accord, an international agreement that was never ratified by the United States Senate and certainly does not reflect the views of the majority of people in Chaves County. And whereas this initiative to transition to a fully renewable energy grid was adopted with no public process and without congressional approval, even though this exponential growth would create an electric grid unable to handle the increased load requirements, ultimately requiring substantially higher costs for consumers but big gains for green energy brokers. And whereas to address the increased load requirements that this poorly conceived transition would cause, the government has empowered the Department of Energy to create the National Interest Electric Transition Corridors to interconnect the new solar and wind generation facilities that will be needed to accomplish this task, to be built largely in areas with cheap land and low taxes. Whereas in our state, these national interest electric transmission corridors vary from 5 to 15 miles in width and will require approximately 1,841,000 acres to be taken from 8 New Mexico counties using the federal power of eminent domain. And whereas there is no precedent for such widespread use of eminent domain by federal agencies, which federal courts and decades of practice demonstrate to traditionally be the province of state and local governments. There is no justification for a federal agency to assert such powers, especially before state and local governments have been asked to participate in this important process. And whereas the Supreme Court has established precedents that federal agencies such as the Department of Energy cannot presume the fundamental authority to force regulatory changes in the American economy without clear authority from Congress, and whereas the Supreme Court has ruled in this manner on a wide array of cases, most recently West Virginia versus the EPA in 2022, in which the court ruled that only Congress has the authority to require a complete shift in energy sources for electric generation, which is the intent of the National Interest Electric Transmission Corridors. And whereas the court found that regulatory agencies attempting to adopt a regulatory program that Congress had conspicuously and repeatedly declined to enact itself would create unprecedented power over American industry, and that an agency would require clear congressional authorization to require such a change. And whereas the current plan to build new and massive wind and solar facilities and to use eminent domain powers to build national interest electric transmission corridors to transport that power to the grid is simply an attempt to circumvent Congress and the laws of the land, fundamentally changing the U.S. economy without regard to the systems and checks and balances which assure the American people are represented. And whereas removing large swaths of land, both publicly and private, from our New Mexico counties will have a devastating effect on our already strained resources and impede our ability to provide infrastructure such as roads, schools, hospitals, law enforcement, and other emergency services by the loss of our tax base. And whereas the health, safety, welfare, economic condition, and culture of the state of New Mexico, its businesses, and its citizens depend on these lands and productive use of the resources within our counties. And whereas many of Chaves County's businesses and citizens are involved in or otherwise depend on industries that utilize private lands and their resources, including but not limited to agriculture crop production, livestock grazing, industry, manufacturing, oil and gas exploration and production, electrical generation, hunting, fishing, and other outdoor recreation. And whereas these industries are important components of Chaves County and the state of New Mexico economies, and are major contributors to the economic and social well-being of the county and its citizens. And whereas the Department of Energy failed to provide adequate assessment of the potential impacts of the proposed national interest electric transmission corridors, or to even seek to include Chaves County in any of the planning process through coordination with local governments. And whereas the National Environmental Protection Act of 1970, NEPA, and a long-standing body of other laws and traditions require federal agencies undertaking major actions with their environmental consequences to consult, cooperate, and coordinate their actions with state and local governments. And whereas if the ability to transmit power from the places where it is generated to the places where it is to be utilized was the need, wouldn't the utility easement system that has been utilized for more than the last century continue to fulfill that requirement without the need of condemnation of lands, with huge swaths being taken from beneficial use? And whereas if the goal was to provide efficient energy to the areas that need electrical power, then wouldn't the power transmission developments be built near the end users to avoid transmission losses of massive amounts of electricity, thereby negating the green component? And whereas, once again, it appears the federal government is being disingenuous and covering up their true intent to control our nation's lands, waters, and other resources, subsidizing green energy, impeding the oil and gas industry, while fulfilling the 30 by 30 land grab objectives. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of Chaves County, New Mexico, opposes the construction of the National Interest Electric Transmission Corridors for the following reasons. 1, Chaves County finds the creation of the Natural Interest Electric Transmission Corridor is in conflict with Chaves County policies and objectives as described in the Chaves County Comprehensive Plan, and it will result in substantial loss of private property, beneficial use of our lands for agriculture and industry, and permanently harm our economic security. 2, Chaves County finds that the Department of Energy failed to provide notice and coordinate the Southwestern Grid Connector corridor with the county. 3, Chaves County believes that only Congress has the authority to acquire lands on this scale and is certainly the only entity who can fund the acquisitions. 4, Chaves County perceives this as nothing more than another attempted federal agency overreach to fulfill the goals of the 30 by 30 land grab, which was rebranded as America the Beautiful. Now, therefore, be it further resolved, Chaves County directs all county agencies and departments to withhold all approvals, permits, funding, or other permissions that may be required for the Department of Energy to acquire or manage fee title lands or an interest in lands such as a utility easement or right-of-way within the county until such time as the natural interest electric transmission corridors have been coordinated with the county to the satisfaction of the county. Done this 20th day of February 2025 at Roswell, Chaves County, New Mexico.
That was probably the longest resolution I've ever heard in my life.
That was a long-winded one, wasn't it? But
You're to be commended, sir, for reading that whole thing.
Go ahead. Commissioner Wade?
In our meetings, it was just, people could not understand the purpose of this, because it kind of followed the corridor of existing transmission lines, both with XL and with different cooperatives, electric cooperatives throughout the state. And everything's being pretty well handled right now with construction on a major transmission line of 765 kV, I believe.
Yes.
And they only require a 225-foot easement for that. So the purpose of this was just not understood by anyone. And I'm sure Bill can fill you in with a whole lot more.
Sure. The main problem people had was that it was not, no one had reached out to the communities, and there's 8 counties in New Mexico that are directly impacted. Of course, it impacts all of our counties and all of our states. Part of what has happened, this is phase 3. So phase 1 and 2 have already happened, and no one was really drawn in and a part of it. However, the states of Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas, who have greater political clout than maybe we do in the nation's capital, were able to remove those counties. You know, the initial plan was supposedly it went from all the way from New Mexico all the way up through North and South Dakota, all the way up connected. They got their parts removed. So it appears more like it has more to do with putting things where people don't put up a fight against it and overreaching. And some of the original boundaries were up to 125 miles wide. They're retaining the right to re-expand the boundaries, even though they're only asking for 5 to 15 miles wide now. it just was way too much to be done. We did go out of our way to make sure that we were talking about things truthfully and with the right facts. And so we actually met with the president of Texas New Mexico Excel. He's the one that told us they're more than able to provide power to all of their customers. And with the 765 kV line, which is a huge line according to them, they only need 225 feet. They've referred to their engineers to find out for sure. We talked to the rural electric cooperatives. They said they're not having any problem providing power, and they have no problem with using the tried and true utility easement or right-of-way methods, which will preserve the right for multiple use underneath those power lines, except in a few exceptions. You know, if it's too close to a transmission station or something, they'll probably keep them back. But generally speaking, all the land beneath the power lines would still be used as it always has been. And if they were to condemn the lands, there's no understanding of what they would use those lands for. They could be burying windmill blades, they could put defunct batteries. One of the big concerns was this goes right through Holtec, and our state has been pretty vehemently opposed to storing radioactive waste of that level, and they would be within their right to do that within that corridor if they were to condemn those lands. And so it's just a variety of problems that people had with it. We had, as Commissioner Wade said, probably 1,000 people at multiple meetings that were against this. I want to shout out to the state of Kansas. The Kansas Coalition of Counties helped us a lot with a lot of the language. Greg Walker, who's from Colorado, loaned me a lot of language for the resolution. This also affects Colorado. Another transmission line, Colorado, and a very small piece of the Texas Panhandle is involved, mostly New Mexico in this particular one. The other one starts in Missouri, northern Missouri, North and South Dakota, Nebraska. That transmission line goes all the way up, and then there's another small one over in the East Coast. But it's extremely small in comparison to what they want to take from the western part of the U.S., which seems to be the way they tend to try to do those things. But anyway, I'm going to quit talking. If you have any questions specifically, I'll try to answer those.
Any further questions? Do we have a motion on this one?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve Resolution R-25-005, opposing the natural interest electric transmission corridors.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Wade and a second by Commissioner Corn. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, agenda item number 5 is for Resolution R-25-006, which is supporting the New Mexico Historic Air Museum. This resolution would support the establishment and the operation of the New Mexico Historic Air Museum. The county will cooperate in the zoning, permitting, and construction inspection of the museum and will be supportive of the efforts to successfully operate the museum. Staff recommends approval, and if I can give you a quick update, this is planned to be built behind the Roswell Airport. The City of Roswell has had to sign an agreement with them to provide access to the airport. They're going to land big planes, commercial aircraft, and then remove them out the back gate to a wonderfully designed museum, restaurant. It would be a real boon to our community. The restaurant, I think, is 5,000 square feet by itself. But anyway, the preliminary designs are really good. They are not asking for tax money or anything else. This will be privately funded. And so this is just a resolution in support of what they're proposing to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have a motion?
Do we need to read the resolution, or we're just going? Do we need to read the resolution, or we're good?
I can read the resolution if you'd like.
No, you don't have to.
Would you like one of us to read the resolution?
This one's pretty short. I can
Okay.
handle it. Resolution R-25-006, supporting a proposal from the New Mexico Historical Air Museum. Whereas the New Mexico Air Museum Incorporated a single-member New Mexico nonprofit corporation, the single member of which is the Solaviv Foundation, a Delaware nonprofit corporation, desires to establish and fund a museum called the New Mexico Historical Air Museum, NMHAM, to display historical out-of-service aircraft, and whereas the museum will be built on privately owned property adjacent to the Roswell Air Center, and whereas the City of Roswell is providing airport access for incoming aircraft, which will be delivered outside of the airport and outside of the city limits, and whereas the Chaves County Board of Commissioners finds that the establishment and operation of a museum at no expense to the county will provide excellent economic development and educational opportunities for the county and its residents, and whereas the Chaves County Board of Commissioners believes that the planned museum would benefit not only the City of Roswell and Chaves County, but the entire region. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Chaves County Board of Commissioners stands in support of the establishment and operation of the New Mexico Historic Air Museum, and the county will cooperate in the zoning, permitting, and construction inspection of the museum and will be supportive of the efforts to successfully operate the museum. Passed and adopted this 20th day of February 2025 by the Board of Chaves County Commissioners.
Do we have a motion?
I would like to make a motion to approve Resolution R-25-006, supporting the proposal from the New Mexico Historical Air Museum.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Perry and second by Commissioner Corn. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, agenda item number 6 is Resolution R-25-007. We are requesting approval to amend Appendix 2 of the Chaves County Income Schedule for Ordinance 58, the Chaves County Indigent Hospital Healthcare Ordinance. This schedule has not been updated since 2008. The amendment would correspond with the current 185th percentile of federal poverty guidelines. Staff is recommending approval.
Okay. Do we need to read the resolution?
It's at your discretion, sir.
If not, do we have a motion to approve it?
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve Agenda Item 6, Resolution R-25-007, amending Appendix 2, the Chaves County Income Schedule of Ordinance Number 58, Chaves County Indigent Hospital and Healthcare Ordinance.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Perry and second by Commissioner Wade. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Same sign. Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, agenda item number 7 is Resolution R-25-008. It is a budget adjustment resolution for fiscal year 2025. We're requesting budget adjustment for the line items that are in Exhibit 8. These include various items like an increase in funding for expendable items for the Sheriff's and Detention Center that were covered by reimbursements from IPRA fees, a grant awarded for emergency repairs to support facility improvements, the replacement of 2 vehicles in the Sheriff's fleet funded through insurance recoveries, increases to expenditures for insurance premiums for fiscal year 2025, and a new budget allocation for the ongoing flood damage projects that will be undertaken in collaboration with FEMA commencing in fiscal year 2025. Staff recommends approval.
Do we have a motion?
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve Agenda Item 7, Resolution R-25-008, the Budget Adjustment Resolution FY 2024-2025.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Perry, seconded by Commissioner Wade. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. Agenda item number 8 is the acceptance and approval of fiscal year 2024 audit. Resolution R25-009 is a proposal to accept the fiscal year 2024 audit, which was presented earlier by external auditors. We do have a new requirement from DFA that we need to have a formal acceptance. So staff does recommend approval of resolution R25-009.
Mr. Chairman, I would gladly recommend approval. I move to approve Resolution R25-009, acceptance and approval of the fiscal year 2024 audit.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Wade and seconded by Commissioner Corn. Any further discussion? I would just like to interject, I think it was an excellent audit report, and again, my appreciation to all the staff and to Annabelle. As an auditor and CPA, I understand that when the submission of an audit report that has no findings is excellent. All in favor of this motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, agenda item number 9 is to change the June Board of Commissioners meeting to June 26th. The New Mexico County's annual conference will be held June 16th through 19th, 2025. This conflicts with our scheduled commission meeting. Numerous staff and commissioners will be in attendance at New Mexico County's annual conference. It's requested that the meeting be held instead on June 26th, 2025. Staff recommends approval for permission to change the June meeting to June 26th, 2025. Thank you.
We have a motion?
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve agenda item 9 and change the June Board of Commissioners meeting to June 26th.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Perry and second by Commissioner Corn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good morning, Mr. Commissioner, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Bill. I'm here in reference to agenda item number 10, and it is for the approval of out-of-state travel to the Reno Western States Sheriff's Conference for 3 of my lieutenants, Charles Drake, Andres Salas, and Jacob Sanchez. This will be in Reno, Nevada on March the 9th, 2025 through March 13th, 2025. There will be needed extra travel time because we will be driving. It's cheaper to drive there than to fly and probably safer. So we're gonna do that. We'll be taking 2 units because we're all bigger guys. And registration has already been paid, and the only amount outstanding will be hotel and per diem. Funds for this travel expense will be covered by the LEPF line item for travel and training. And I stand for any questions that you may have on this.
Do we have a motion?
Chairman, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve agenda item 10, which is the out-of-state travel to Reno, Nevada for the Western States Sheriff Conference for the sheriff and his lieutenants.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Perry and seconded by Commissioner Wade. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, thank you. Last agenda item of the day, agenda item 11. brings forth the 2025 Chaves County Road Hearing Applications and Appointment of Freeholders. We do have 7 road applications this year, 2 vacations, and 5 new roads. The application deadline for the 2025 Chaves County Road Hearings has passed, and no additional applications will be accepted. 3 freeholders must be appointed to view the road requests and make a report thereof to the Board of County Commissioners. The following individuals have been nominated by staff: Joe Cedillo of Roswell, Bob Tackett of Roswell, Ron Lethgo of Roswell, and an alternate, Paul Zagoni of Roswell. Staff recommends approval.
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve Agenda Item 11, the 2025 Chaves County Road Hearing Applications and Appointment of Freeholders.
You want to list the individuals in the motion, the names of the individuals?
Oh. Mr. Joe Cedillo, Mr. Bob Tackett, and Mr. Ron Lethgo.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? We have a motion by Commissioner Perry, second by Commissioner Wade. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Approval of checks.
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to the approval of checks for $4,449,156.11.
We have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Perry, second by Commissioner Wade. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Approval of reports.
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for the approval of reports.
Do we have a second?
A second.
Motion by Commissioner Perry, second by Commissioner Corn. All in favor?
Aye.
Unscheduled communication limited to 3 minutes. I know Rita had to go watch the baseball game. Okay. County managers' communications.
Yeah, I'm going to try not to talk too much, if that's all right. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, the town hall meetings that we went to were pretty successful, and I've already spoken about those. We feel like we've really raised the awareness of this situation, and we've all banded together as counties, and that's always impressive when our counties will join in together. This corridor runs all the way up the eastern side of the state. We've met with county commissioners, county managers, and other elected officials all throughout the state, and we're all on board working together and opposing this. Also, other counties that are not involved are also interested in helping us with this. So that's, like I say, when all the counties are pulling together, we really feel good. The meeting we had in Ruidoso, Lincoln County is actually not a part of the counties that have the corridor running through, but, you know, as we've had their back in the past, they have